Welcome, everyone. This is Overtime Insights. I'm Dylan, and this isn't just the first episode of the year, but the first episode ever. I'm doing this basically maybe once a week, maybe twice, depending on any interesting stories that happens. But this is just recapping stuff that's happened throughout the week in sports. And right now we got the college football playoffs. I'm doing this recording during the Ohio State and Oregon game. Ohio State's up 41-21. And if you've watched that game, you would see it's really not much of a game there. Ohio State's been dominating. That first half was just brutal to watch. I like Ohio State was just very dominant playing throughout. And that Jeremiah Smith, that's an elite wide receiver. I can't believe he's just a freshman. But anyways, with these episodes are gonna also in these episodes I want to talk about my teams that I watch, and they're the Detroit teams: Red Wings, Lions, Tigers. I don't follow basketball really, and so I don't know. I can't tell you who's on the Pistons team, so I won't really bring them up. I won't really talk about professional basketball. Won't really talk about NBA here because it's not my sport to follow, and I'm uninterested in the current NBA. So, but if you like all the other sports, you'll like it here. So today, talk about what happened in the college football playoffs from last night and today. Very good games. Very good game last night. Very good game. First game of the day. And unfortunately, still a blowout with Ohio State and Oregon. And there's about a little over 5 minutes left right now. I don't think that there's going to be too much of a change. If there is, I'll redo the Ohio State and Oregon part, but or just do a special tape of that if Oregon somehow comes back. But I don't think they will. They're down by 20. And we'll also talk about last night's Winter Classic. Winter Classic looked really cool. Really, really cool. I liked the being in at Wrigley and Wrigley at night. That's a pretty good Winter Classic venue. And then I'll talk about the Red Wings. Hoping for some promising things from them. We'll get into that more later. And then we'll do the stories of the NHL season that's happened. Had a couple firings. Who were some surprises, good and bad. So yeah, let's get started. First thing is the postponement of the Sugar Bowl. I'm sure everyone woke up hearing the news of the tragedy that happened in New Orleans. So I believe so far they said there's at least 15 that have been killed, and thoughts and prayers are with those families and the city. But moving on, we'll talk about the first game, Penn State versus Boise. I don't know about you. I didn't like that Boise got the first week bye. Yeah, they won 11-1, but who do they play? But then you have to ask, all right, well, who are you gonna put in? And there's it's hard argument, and no one really screamed out. I'm sure others could say, "Oh, Texas or Penn State, Ohio State." Like, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you who would fill in if it wasn't Boise State. But it's over. Matchups have been made, so we gotta watch what we're given right now. And right now we were given Penn State and Boise State. And if you watch it from the beginning, Penn State dominated. Penn State looked like they were about to blow them out, and that's what I thought I was gonna be watching, was a blowout between those two teams. I thought Penn State was gonna be up by 40 at the end of the first half. You got 2 touchdown passes from Drew Alar. He looked sharp in the beginning. Boise made it a game, and they fought back. They cut the lead 17-14 early in the third quarter, and they were starting to make it look like a game. And I was like, okay, maybe Boise really belongs, and they probably did. They probably did, but then later Penn State proved why they're the bigger and better program. They started to pull away with Tyler Warren's second touchdown and Nick Singleton's 58-yard touchdown run. So, yeah, that was pretty much what you would expect from that game. And yeah, Ashton Jeanty, he was pretty quiet. He had over 100 yards. He had 104 rushing yards. I mean, that's not. It's quiet for him, but he also ran the ball 30 times, so he didn't get that many. He didn't average two. His average per carry, I believe, was around 3.5 yards per carry. So that, for his standards, wasn't all too great. But that defensive effort of Penn State, they did very, very well. And yeah, but noticeable guys, that Tyler Warren, 2 touchdowns, and he even broke the Penn State single season record with 98 catches. So good for him. And Boise offensively, yeah, they were offensively. Of course, they were coming back a lot, so they had to be really aggressive. Ashton Jeanty. I keep on saying Gentry. It's Genty. Is it Genty? I don't know. I'm really bad at pronouncing. I apologize. I should be better at this, but I'm not. No, but I'm working on it. Genty, 104 yards on the ground, like I mentioned before. Their quarterback, Maddox Madsen, 304 yards in the air, but 3 interceptions, and those definitely made an impact on that game. And another reason why I said Boise State shouldn't have had that bye week, is because they haven't played teams like Penn State. They played Oregon, but that was their one loss. But their conference isn't strong like Oregon is. Penn State, they played much better quality teams than Boise did. And, with Genty being a Heisman frontrunner, they stopped him. And how do they do that? Dominant line play. They controlled the line of scrimmage, Penn State did, consistently clogging running lanes and disrupting Boise State's offensive rhythm. Genty didn't. He not many big runs. Not many big runs out of him. They could not. He could not score. Could not make big plays. They tried feeding him many times, but they were all over him. They stacked the box, deployed 7 more defenders in the box, dedicating extra resources to stop the run. They were ready. They were ready for him, and with them stacking the box, they played a lot of man coverage, and their secondary was able to keep up with their receivers, not allowing them to score a lot. Yeah, they gave up some big plays here and there, but they often stopped them. But they had a lot of consistent execution with them. The Nittany Lions maintained their defensive intensity throughout the game, never allowing Genty to find a rhythm. Even when Genty broke free for a 26-yard gain in the fourth quarter, Penn State defense quickly regrouped and continued to limit his effectiveness. They had a good plan for him. They stopped him. Very well done by Penn State. And they definitely deserve to be in the semifinals, for sure. Like I said, prior to this game, you look at their team stats. Their defensive points allowed per game for Penn State was 16.2. Turnover margin was plus 15. Total yards allowed per game, 261.9. So their defense was sound. And they could handle a running back like Genty. They were ready for him. So Penn State deservedly won that game. Absolutely did. And that game was good, but the first game of today's games, Arizona State and Texas, I thought it was going to be a similar game like last night's, but ooh. I mean, started similar, right? Texas came out 14-0 right away, off of 3 plays. Two passes in offense. Then they make a stop on defense and get a punt return for a touchdown. Just absolutely impressive by them. And, at the end of the half, it was 17-3. So I'm like, all right, this was going to be a blowout. But Arizona State had something else to say about that, and they made a comeback. And actually throughout that whole game, Arizona State really controlled that game. They just couldn't score. But they held. You look at time of possession. I don't have that stat. I don't have the time of possession on me, but Arizona State had more of a possession. They controlled the game. They just couldn't score. Well, in the second half, they were down at 1 point, 21-7. Or, excuse me, 17-8. And so at the end of the third quarter, 17-8, nice safety by Arizona State. Right in the fourth quarter, got to see probably my new favorite player, college football, Cam Skattebo. Love that name. Finished 5th in the Heisman Trophy voting. He had an awesome game. I'll get to him in a second, but just just an unbelievable performance by him. Made it absolutely exciting, and he helped lead Arizona State to tie the game up, and force their game into overtime. Two missed field goals by Texas. The announcers kept hyping him up, like, "Oh, he's a veteran. He's good in these situations," and of course he misses both game-winning field goals. So then they go to overtime. Arizona State scores first. Then Texas scores on 4th and 13th. Man, I thought they were going to stop them. I really did. And they had penalties on them, false starts. Man, I really thought... I thought Arizona State was going to win that game for sure. Really did. Then Texas had the ball in the beginning of double overtime. And Ewers threw a 25-yard touchdown to his tight end, Helm. They made the 2-point conversion. And then Sam Levitt of Arizona State threw an interception, and that was that. But what a performance by Arizona State. And again, whether you want to say they deserve to have a bye week or not, not 100% sure whether they did or didn't. It's one of those things. If they did, who you replace it with? But Arizona State, phenomenal performance by them. I enjoyed watching that game a lot. That's probably my favorite game of the year so far. I really, really enjoyed that game, especially Cam Scatabo. That guy is awesome. And they say he was struggling during that game. He was vomiting profusely on the sidelines and needed IV fluids throughout the game. And you could tell just by watching him, he did not look right. And you could tell just by looking at him on the sidelines and sometimes after a play. But if you looked at his stats, you'd be like, he was sick. Yeah, apparently. I mean, that's scary. That's what he does when he's sick. I can't imagine what he could do when 100% healthy. But he was awesome today. I loved watching him. Look at his stats: 30 carries for 143 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. He scored the 3-yard touchdown in overtime. 8 receptions for 88 yards, and that was a team high. And he had a very big wheel route for 62 yards. That was really impressive. And you could say there was a push off or not, but it was defensive calls, so that play stood. So that was glad that happened. And even with all that, he even threw for a 42-yard touchdown pass on a trick play. And that was on a 4th and 2 as well, and that helped tie that game, send it to overtime. And also some other things too. Broke Arizona State's single season records, 1,711 yards. Set a new ASU single season rushing touchdown record of 21. First player in college football playoff history with 100 plus rushing yards and 80 plus receiving yards. Also, first player since at least 2000 with 100 plus rushing yards, 80 plus receiving, 2 rushing touchdowns, and a passing touchdown in a single game. He also accounted for 56% of Arizona State's total offense. Just absolutely impressive. And I didn't know, I'll be honest, I didn't know much about him before this game. I didn't know who he really was. And so I want to see if this was if he's draft eligible, because I'm thinking I want this guy on the Lions. Like I think this is this. I mean, just the way he play, I would love for him to be on the Lions so bad. He would be so good with Dan Campbell and that team. He's not gonna be. He wouldn't be a star, but he's just star or not star running back. I should say starting running back, not star. He'd be a star. He'd just be one of those guys that you could just plug in anywhere, and he's gonna do amazing things. Cause that, I mean, you watch that game, he showed so much heart in that game. I loved watching him in that game. I think if he's on the right, if he's drafted to the right team, I think he could have a very successful career. It's got to be on the right situation. But yeah, this is his final year. He transferred over from Sacramento State, and looking at his draft projection, they said likely a day 3 pick. He's ranked 147th overall. So it could be in the 4th or 5th round. That's right now it's projected, but hopefully his stock might get a little better, just for him personally. I mean, if we can get him, if Lions can get him later, I'd be happy. I want him on the Lions. Just being honest, he seems like a Dan Campbell guy. But we'll keep an eye on him for days, months to come. Long ways away for a draft. So let's just worry about the end of the season and go from there. And so by now, got the end results of the Ohio State and Oregon game. Of course, ended 41-21. Yeah, Oregon did not. They just weren't ready, and Ohio State probably should have won that game in that first game they had with Oregon, but mismanaged that game. Will Howard did. But Ohio State, I think after that game, I think there's no question they're the favorites to win it all. That offense is too good. Defense is sound. So they're pretty locked in. So tomorrow, 4:00, we got Notre Dame and Georgia. I think they said Notre Dame's the favorite in that one. Are they? Should have had this right now, but I don't. Yeah, Georgia's a 1-point favorite. Wow. That is interesting. I don't know if that's because no Carson Beck, but be interesting. It'll be an interesting game. Very interesting game. And that's tomorrow at 4. That's about it I have for college football. And all the other bowl games, they're meaningless, really. They don't. I think that's just for the individuals only, like just for the senior players to raise their draft stock if they don't play, if they're trying to just have some extra game tape for them. But a lot of people are talking about the Alabama losing to Michigan. And it's like, well, it's not really much motivation for Alabama. If what's the win for? What do you get? It's not college football playoffs. Of course, now, meaningless bowl game. Of course, they said Alabama will say, "Oh, we should win every game." Yeah, it should, but this game's no meaning to this game. Not a fan of, just for the record, not a fan of any other bowl games. That's not college football playoffs. It's pointless. Like, and then you're gonna see star players not not play, which I get. I wouldn't want to play either. I would want to save my draft stock or be healthy. Don't want to get injured. So that's it for I have for college football. We'll move on with hockey. Last night, Winter Classic, Wrigley Field. It was really cool. I got to see little bits of it here and there. Only didn't really watch it too much just because it was another blowout. St. Louis Blues much dominant throughout that game. So yeah, they played with over 40,000, nearly 41,000 fans there. That was good turnout by them. Good for them. I mean, it looked really impressive. I heard it was a terrible walk to get to the ice. They had to go through steps and all that. Saw pictures and videos of that. That looked bad, but probably not much you could really do there. Yeah, so the game ended 6-2, St. Louis Blues. One big performance I saw, and I was hearing about it too, was Cam Fowler, longtime Anaheim Duck defenseman, got traded during the season to the Blues. And I was hearing during the week that this could be his, everything went well. He would play his 1,000th NHL game. And he made it quite memorable. He really did. He became the first defenseman to score twice in an NHL outdoor game. Yeah, he had 2 goals that game. Really impressive. You're happy. It's pretty cool that you got to play your 1,000th game, and then you contributed the way you did, and have that stat being the first defenseman to score twice, and that's just awesome. And then I read this stat too. It was pretty interesting. So this was the first time since 2009 that Wrigley Field had an outdoor game. Blues won 3 Winter Classic games. They're 3-0. Blackhawks are 0-5. Blackhawks played 5 Winter Classic games and have not won. So I think Blackhawks might want to break from these Winter Classics. Yeah, it's cool, but if they're not winning, I wouldn't want to play. It's a cool game though. Those outdoor games are just incredibly fun. I went to one when the Red Wings played in the Big House against the Maple Leafs. That was an awesome atmosphere. Those outdoor games are quite fun. And I saw something. There hasn't been an official announcement yet for where the 2026 Winter Classic will be. But already Gary Bettman's already saying there's some controversy as into where we're thinking about. And what they're speculating is they want to have the outdoor game at Miami, at the Lone Depot Park where the Marlins play. I just don't see how that will work. I'm being from Florida. Today was, I think it was like in the 70s. The Winter Classic last night was in the 38, 39 degrees. So, okay. So yeah, weather in Miami, it's just, I don't know how they would really do it. I mean, they could. It's not completely outdoors. They got a retractable roof, so it's possible. And with Florida Panthers being dominant team right now, I can see it. I can see it really being a Florida Tampa Winter Classic. I mean, it'd be cool, but I don't know how they would exactly do it, but no official announcement with it yet. But a lot of people are speculating that Miami is a strong possibility. So wait and see. And now I want to get to my Red Wings. Last night, uh, pulled out the win. Very happy with that. Yeah, they looked very strong last night. Dominated at the beginning of the game. I don't think it took a while for Pittsburgh to start shooting the puck, but Red Wings looked really good, and that first goal by Jonathan Bergen, really good goal by him. Happy to hopefully McKellen could unlock him because he's been a top prospect for us for some time, and we're just waiting for him to explode. Waiting on a lot of our prospects to explode. We have some now currently. You know, uh, Sider has been Sider and Evanson and Raymond. And hopefully Marco Casper can start going. I know he hasn't shown the points, but he does look poised there. Hopefully the points come through. I'm sure it will. Just hopefully McKellen can get the best out of these prospects. And also learned yesterday too. Got his 600th coaching win, and like where his mind's at. Doesn't care about it right now. He's trying to turn this team around, and really, I didn't really consider his first game. I know it's technically his first game was the loss against Toronto, but I think he literally just arrived in Detroit and on the day of the game, and pretty much just like, all right, go play, see how you do. I think he's just seeing what he got. And his true first game was when they played the Capitals and came out the gate very good. 4 goals in the first period. Yeah, that was all they had, but they held on to the lead, and now they're on a 2-game winning streak, and they just need to start just building these wins up, and hopefully they can just turn around. Are we gonna make the playoffs? Probably not. I don't see it. Be nice if we can get a wild card. There's hope. You never know, but I just hope we can make it a turnaround and just be competitive. Really, like be competitive against top teams. But when we play against lower teams, like that was the thing that bothered me with Lalonde was, when we play teams like San Jose, Anaheim, like all these other crap teams, and lose. And it's like that like, I didn't think we were in that category of being bad, but look at like seeing how we play. It's like, yeah, that's where we are. We're not competitive. We're not competing. So I like Lalonde. I did. I don't know how to feel about did he deserve to be fired or not. I looked at what he was given last year. It's a different team than it was last year. Got rid of some guys to make. We had to make cap space for Sider and Raymond. He had to lock those guys up. They're our future, so I get it. But did Yzerman give Lalonde same quality of guys that he had the year before? I don't think so. We had some underperformers. Tarasenko is not worth the money we gave him. He hasn't been producing. Now, hopefully with McKellen behind the bench, hopefully he can unlock him. Hopefully McKellen can unlock all these guys and Just, I loved what he said in his first practice. Play fucking hockey. Yes, play fucking hockey. I hope he can turn it around. I hope. I grew up a Red Wing fan, and I had the luxury that a lot of hockey fans didn't have. If you weren't a Red Wing fan, uh, you I had the fortune of seeing my team make the playoffs 25 years in a row and winning 4 Stanley Cups. I would love to get back to those times again. I mean, I just want to be competitive, making the playoffs, and that's now it's like before, like when we're growing up, like it was like if we lose in the first round, it was considered a bad season. If you don't win the cup, it's a bad season. Like our expectations for the Red Wings win the cup. That's the only success. Now we're like, oh, can we please make a wild card spot? And I mean, that's what happens with teams. It's not you're not. It's hard to sustain success like that. I mean, I was fortunate to see the Red Wings have the 25 years of making the Stanley Cup, but or making the Stanley Cup playoffs. So let's see how this new hire. Let's see how McKellen can do it. I mean, I'm not gonna really totally judge him this year just because he only had one. Like he's coming off of nearly mid-season, and I want to see what he does when he's got a full training camp and full off season to prepare his team. So we'll see how. Just hopefully he can make our team competitive, and the turnaround can really start next year. If he makes a good turnaround this year, great. But I'm not really totally expecting playoffs. I just want to be competitive. Like don't be trash. Just be competitive. Like if you're gonna lose like competitively. Don't lose to teams that you shouldn't be losing to. So now, we're looking back at the end of 2024. Take a look at what we got for some headlines. And I talked about coaches changes. We had Red Wings getting their head coach, and Boston bringing Joe Sacco. How that just I was just blown away with Jim Montgomery being fired. He went on from his first season to having arguably it was the greatest regular season. He won most wins or most points. But with not success in the playoffs and struggling in the beginning, I think management was trying to find a scapegoat out of Jim Montgomery. But he landed on his feet, and I think he was with the St. Louis Blues in no time. So good for him. He'll be fine. Been looking at all the surprises for the year so far. Winnipeg Jets. They've been pretty dominant this season so far. Winnipeg Jets being point leader in the NHL, 55 points. Very, very impressive start to their season so far, with them nearly halfway done. They're getting it done. They came out the gate flying, and looking to hopefully maintain that. Minnesota is starting to do well too. Kaprizov's having a pretty outstanding year for them so far. And another team I'm looking at is made a good turnaround was the Capitals. Now I know Ovechkin's been hurt; he's starting to come back. Of course, he gets a goal against the Red Wings. Why not? Uh, but even with him being injured, they still continue to play strong. They're a top team in the Eastern Conference. 1 point ahead of New Jersey, but New Jersey's got 41 games. Washington's got 37. I was also looking at the standings too. Uh, Tampa Bay, if they go on a good winning streak, they've only played 34 games, and I think they're the lowest one. I'm looking at it again. Yeah, they're the only ones that had 34 games played. Tampa Bay goes on a run. They win those 4 games. They're at the top. They'll be at the top, so they make a good run with the games in hand that they have. They can make a run to be at the top, and they're man I don't I was shocked, but not. It was mixed feelings about Stamkos leaving. I thought he would. I would. You like to see players that play for the majority of their career with one team. You like to see it from start to finish. Stamkos, I thought for sure he would end his career with the Lightning, but just with age and injuries that he's had throughout his career, and they went on and signed Jake Guentzel. And now he's with Nashville and not performing to the standards at all. I mean, but how can you not? I mean, of course you're not going to perform when you don't have guys like Kucherov and Point giving you the puck to score. I mean, you don't have that team that. Yeah, I mean they made some decent free agent signings this offseason, but nowhere near the caliber of Kucherov and Point. But them signing Guentzel, the way he's performing with the team, that is paying off well for them. So, yeah, they can go on a streak and start winning their games. They'll be fine. They could easily be in the top of their division. Absolutely. Now, a surprise for teams that are doing bad, I gotta say the Rangers. We talk about coaches firings a little bit ago. How the Rangers have not fired their head coach. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Especially me. But yeah, I gotta think what's going on with the Rangers. What's holding up with them not firing their head coach? Maybe they don't want to do a buyout, or there's nobody out there. I don't know, but them being last place in their division is pretty shocking, and it just seems like they need a complete makeover because if you trade away your captain, something's not right, and he was already on the block. It seemed like they already wanted to trade him in the off season, but they couldn't unload with his contract, and I think him going with the Ducks was probably best case scenario for both teams. Yeah, so that's it for today's episode. These, I don't know how many I'll be doing weekly. Usually, I'm thinking one. If I do more, it's because something came up. But throughout the the channel. Main thing what I'm really going to be doing is doing documentaries on players, past players. Seeing success, the rise and falls of certain players. I want to see how good of career players have had when they're picked in the lower rounds, and also seeing the unsuccessful careers of players that were drafted high. So that's really what I'm going to be mainly focusing on. Hockey, baseball, and football. Those really are the sports I'm going to be focusing on. I don't know if I don't think I'll be really doing NBA. Not now. And I don't know if I'll be doing documentaries on NBA players as well. I'm not sure. If it's a good story, I'll do it. But for now, just hockey, baseball, football. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.